Are you still filming? It's okay if you are. I crossed Clark Drive, I was walking up, it was evening, it was getting dark out, the light on the sign was on. This is funny, it's kind of a romantic story, but I'm up the road a ways. I stopped and I looked back, it just came to me like, wow, that's it right there, and I've done it. And because I wanted it for 20 years, quietly inside, I'm like, yeah, you know what, okay, fucking finally, like, done. Like, there's a lot more to do, but this big thing is done.
I don't know how many people have started breweries in BC. Maybe 500 people, 400 people. I feel like some days I have to pinch myself, like I'm living the dream. And you gotta be good to be lucky and lucky to be good, I guess. We couldn't figure out a name. We had these names and none of our names meshed. Someone said, you guys are strange guys. And strange guys, strange dudes, strange fellows, perfect. And you know what? That's totally fit with who we are.
We often refer to me as the brewmaster. Being an entrepreneur, I've discovered that there's a lot of things I do that I didn't know I'd do.
I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a brother, and now I kind of jokingly call myself a janitor.
Us finding one another, the timing was right.
I had my business plan and I really wanted to start down the road of starting a brewery. But at the time, I was a nobody in the world of craft beer.
I just had to open my own business. I just had to open a brewery. I explored it with other people. I explored it on my own for 20 years.
I met with different people in the community. And I met this one guy named David Varga. He introduced me to Ian.
I really needed someone to help pull me along. The big things we see eye to eye on, there's nothing more important than that. I should also say we're friends. I should also tell you, Aaron and I are friends.
And Ian was this god. He made the first sour beer in British Columbia. He brewed the first Hefeweizen in British Columbia, maybe Canada. He always debates that point. And he had always made these beers that were really unique and different and amazing. When you take your business plan and put it with someone else's, it then naturally becomes different. And once we figured that out, we then had to try and fit your business plan within spaces. You have to have the dream of what your business is going to be.
In our case, brewing specifically is not a service business where, it's manufacturing. It's very expensive to get into in terms of equipment and physical space.
There was no tasting room in my business plan. It was a production brewery. Just selling beer in kegs and cans is really tough. You're competing against companies that are international and they have deep pockets and amazing marketing plans and budgets. City of Vancouver passed bylaws where they allowed tasting rooms. And once they did that, it made this area a natural fit where you wanted to be sort of somewhat near residential neighborhoods, somewhat near downtown for deliveries for your beer, and somewhat near an area that you sort of believe in.
I had a very basic list that we worked with realtors to find spaces that would accommodate us. And it's things like electrical service, things like seismic is very important. It's things like sprinklers. Also zoning is massive. That's really at the top of the list. Are we zoned to do what we're trying to do in here? That's actually where you start, And so there's a number of things like that you have to tick off as you look for spaces.
I think the first thing that comes to mind on the day that we signed the lease was relief. After the relief was the opposite, which was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We've got to now open this place. It's easy to say now, well, this looks great, it would have fit in here, but when we first got in here, there was a carpet warehouse, there were walls in here, there was tile on the walls, there was weird offices in the back. There was all sorts of stuff that's like, man, how are we going to make this work and how are we going to make this amazing?
I guess in a sense you'd say I care about looks. Our tasting room is a way that we are able to communicate with our customers, maybe tell our story, which is a big part of the brand in general. And it's a really important way to get off the ground as a little company like this. We use materials that can be recycled or have been recycled. You grind over those little decisions and they all come together to sort of represent who you are, but they also just happen to represent like East Vancouver in a way, which is a very inclusive, interesting, dynamic, eclectic place. And to think that we're part of that is really, I'm really just thankful to be part of that.
in any way that we can.
Beer really ties in to so much interesting culture. I think it makes a lot of sense in East Vancouver.
What I'm most proud of is really the staff, the people that make this brand what it is, because it's not Ian or I anymore. It's our staff and it's our customers telling us what they want.
My perspective on work has changed in the sense that I definitely work a lot more, but I don't really consider it work. It's just like working in your garden.
If you really do what you love every day, whether you're working for someone else or you're doing it on your own as an entrepreneur, there's no financial reward that can beat that. The first time I knew we were a thing is I was walking at Lighthouse Park and there was one of our cans, empty on this, like someone just drank it and threw it down. I'm like, Strange Fellows garbage, we did it! Now, of course, that person should have put that in the garbage properly, but it was like, it's a really cool feeling, and not for selfish reasons, but just like to be part of the community.
One thing you might get the idea of is that somehow, I was prepared for this, or somehow I know what I'm doing. But I don't. There's a lot about what we're doing that I don't know. And I'm just trying to figure it out. It's such a cliche, but it's just so damn true.
What I love about beer is it brings people together. Interaction between people is super important to us, and that's something that we think beer helps facilitate and lubricate maybe a little bit.